Thank you so much for doing this for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Um, I'm ready for you. I've got everything here.
Are you in, where are you, in Sydney?
Yes, I'm in Sydney. It's 5:20 a.m.
Wow.
No, it's good. I'm a morning person now. I never used to be a morning person.
What, what,
So
what time are you starting your days usually?
I'm normally up by now and I'm getting
Okay.
ready. It's just a little bit sad because summer's ended. So the sun's rising later.
Mm,
Yeah, so, but I have a dog. So every morning he wakes me up and he expects to eat and go for a walk. So,
smart
yeah.
dog.
Actually, he's helped me so much with aligning with my circadian rhythm, They're just so in tune with nature, aren't they?
Yes, yes. I can imagine. How long have you been on the circadian journey?
Look, I mean, I was always aware that vitamin D was important back probably because I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So I was always just supplementing. I wasn't out in the sun as much, which was wrong. And then I stumbled upon my friend actually nudged me a little bit, and I stumbled upon Dr. Jack Cruz at the end of 24. But I find him a little bit hard to understand. So then I found some other teachers, and I really love Dr. Max.
Yes.
And
he's a great friend.
he's so good. And actually, he's the one that gave me these. So we went to his retreat with my husband last year, and it was a gift from him. And I had other blue blocking glasses before. And then so when I put these on, I was like, wow, these are different. They're not as yellow. I see better.
Yes.
And so then, I actually love your design so much as well. It's genius. But actually, before we go into that too much,
Yes.
let's go back to you. I'd love to know what inspired you to create these beautiful glasses.
Yes, that's a very, very long journey of suffering and struggling. And I think a breakthrough moment was 1 a.m. March 2017. And I'm laying down in bed next to my former partner in our dark basement in Canada, scrolling through my phone. And it's literally 1 a.m. My former partner is sleeping, and I'm there like a zombie. Like the blue light is shining on my face. My eyes are literally burning, and I'm feeling drained physically and mentally. But I'm wired, and I can't stop scrolling. Suddenly, a video popped up on my feed, and like every other video, I almost skipped it, but something magnetized me to that video. And it says the artificial light is killing us. So I was squeezing my brain, barely understanding what Dr. Jack Cruz is saying. But then I wake up the second day, and there's this one sentence that keeps echoing in my mind. And it goes, you can't get healthy in the same light environment that made you sick. And I'm like, wow. So I asked myself, could this be the reason for everything I've been going through? The lack of energy, the constant fatigue, the depression? And frankly, this question led me to a 7-year odyssey where I was studying the light problem extensively. And when I speak about the light problem, many people think in their head, oh, he's probably going to tell me about why the blue light from my phone is hurting my eyes. And I'm not going to talk about this. In fact, the light problem is a lot more nuanced than simply avoiding screens 1 hour before bedtime or wearing cheap, generic blue light blocking glasses during the day. And what inspired me is that I learned and I experienced that the quality of our life is entirely dependent on the quality of the spectrum of light that is entering our eyes. And, I wish somebody had told me this when I was a kid at school. Because as a child, growing up in Lebanon, I was diagnosed with ADHD. and labeled with the kid who can't focus. And frankly, I hated the classroom. It felt like a prison cell to me. I was asked to sit still, memorize and repeat useless information, sitting under LED lighting that was frying my brain from the inside out. So my only escape from that prison is becoming a troublemaker, and I became a crazy troublemaker. I did crazy things, and by the time I was 17, I was asked to leave 7 different schools.
Oh, no.
So it was a nightmare for my parent. And as I got a bit older, I frankly became exhausted from fighting and resisting. So I did the most heartbreaking thing imaginable. I gave up on myself, and I turned into a night owl, a creature of the night, staying up very late, scrolling on social media, partying, doing drugs, and waking up the second day feeling low on energy and unmotivated all day long. And although I made it to engineering school, and although people on the outside looked at me as, oh, wow, like a successful, young, fit engineer, on the inside, I was drowning. And I completely lost my sense of purpose. Like, why am I here? Why am I alive? And my health started declining, and shortly after, I lost my job. And no matter what I tried, martial arts, even, meeting with Wim Hof and climbing minus 20 degrees in shorts together, nothing seemed to last. And I tried every diet imaginable, like veganism, ketosis, carnivore, ancestral diet. And I was taking all the best adaptogens and supplements that were recommended by health experts. But still, I felt the same. So I decided to leave my career and travel to Canada on a tourist visa to start a whole new beginning and figure out my health journey. And 3 months in, I'd moved in with my former partner in that dark basement where I watched the video about artificial lights. And a few weeks after that night, my partner was really desperate because I was getting suicidal depressive. And she comes to me with an unexpected surprise. She said, Roudy, pack your stuff. Let's go. We're going to volunteer on an organic farm in northern Quebec in Canada. And I was like filled with doubt, like thinking, how the heck shoveling cow manure is going to help me with my depression? But I trusted her, and we drove for 7 hours from Ontario to Quebec, and the car is like literally bouncing on this dirt road. And when we arrived, it was nighttime, and there's no electricity, no artificial lights, and something I haven't seen in many, many, many years. Like literally a canopy of twinkling stars, so brilliant, so alive, that it felt like the universe is welcoming me home for the first time in my entire adult life. We set up our tent. I go to bed. I wake up on day 1. It was May 2017. And I'm exhausted. My body is so heavy. My mind doesn't want to be outside. I don't want to talk to people. The least thing I want is farmers asking me, like, what do you do in life and what's going on? So it was really difficult for me to like get myself out. But then on the 3rd day, something extremely unexpected and magical happens. I wake up, no alarm. And for the first time in my entire adult life, I feel like energy surging through my veins like electricity. It's like, wow, I'm feeling alive, completely rested and overflowing with joy. And I found myself smiling. I was like, wow. I step outside of the tent and the world around me is mesmerizing, glowing with the magical light of the dawn. And I had not seen that light throughout my entire adult life. Like I had not woken up at that time of the day. And here's the shocking thing. The night owl in me, who stayed up late until 3 or 4 a.m. every single night, is now sleeping shortly after the sunset, naturally. And what's even more shocking is that this morning I'm crouched over the ground wearing the crops, and the farmer walks over to me. I feel his hand on my shoulder. He looks me in the eyes and he says, Roudy, I truly admire how much focus you have. I've never seen a volunteer with such a level of focus. And oh my God, like in this moment, like I was tearing up and I felt chills going up and down my spine. And a deep moment of realization. You know, everything I thought to be wrong with me, my ADHD, my depression, my chronic fatigue, my sleep issues. See, it wasn't about me. And I was like, wow, it's my light environment.
Wow.
It's fascinating. And you wouldn't believe what happened after that. 6 weeks had passed. I went completely from deep desperation to inspiration. I'm feeling like the best I've ever felt in my life. Have a clear direction. I know what I want. I know what to do. I returned back to the city, and within a matter of a few weeks, it all comes crashing back at me. The mental fog, the exhaustion, my night owl tendencies. I lose my rhythm. And in this moment, I'm like, I'm not going back. So I realized I need to go deeper, and I made a commitment. I turned literally into a mad scientist, and I was, for about 4 years, I was traveling between the farms, living with indigenous people in a way that is in complete alignment with nature's light and dark cycles, and then returning to the cities. And on the farms, I was documenting every shift in my sleep, in my energy, in my mood, and studying everything I could find on the science of light so that I could solve the light problem. And it's throughout this time I realized that, you know, light is not something that allows us to see the world around us. It's not only illumination. It's like the most powerful force that is literally programming my body and my cells about what time of the day it is, so that I know whether I'll be awake, alert, energized, or I'd be sleeping, resting, and healing. And what I quickly realized is I needed a tool that will help me protect myself from artificial lights when I'm going back to the city. Because every time I'm on the farm, I'm operating at a clockwork precision without even needing to have a watch in my hand. My body knew exactly when to wake up, when to sleep, when to eat, when to get things done, when to rest. And the moment I would come back to the city, I would feel disoriented again. Like I would lose my rhythm. I would start feeling hungry at random time throughout the day. I could not sleep. I would wake up late. And that was mind puzzling. So during that time, I discovered about blue light blocking glasses. And the first pair that I had discovered is the clear lenses from the optometrist. And I was over the moon, elated to know, oh, wow, I could buy a technology, put it on my face. It's going to block the wrong frequencies from entering my eyes. And my brain will know when to go to bed, when to wake up. So I bought 3 lenses for my sister, my former partner, and I. And we naively wore them all the time, thinking that we just cracked the code for solving the light problem. But nothing, no change happened. And what I had quickly realized is like, oh my God, how did I get fooled into, I have a background in engineering and I understand the physics of light very well. And those clear lenses, they block a very small portion of blue-purple light up to 420 nanometer. But if you measure the light that is coming from a screen, it actually starts at 430 nanometer and peaks at 455. And there's no emission in 420 nanometer blue-purple light. So they were complete loss of money. And next I learned about orange tinted lenses and the yellow tinted lenses. And I bought this orange tinted lens from a company, which they advised me to wear them all day long. And I did that. And while I started to experience some benefits, I started getting exhausted during the day when I'm supposed to be energized. And at that point where I had realized, oh, this whole story that blue light is bad is essentially a nonsense story, because in nature, there's nothing that is bad or good. Everything is relative. And it only becomes bad when we are exposed to something at the wrong time. Like blue light at night literally wrecks our biology because it tells the brain that it's daytime. But blue light during the day is essential. However, when we're exposed to blue light during the day in nature, it always comes symbiotically with other frequencies of colors, like green, yellow, orange, and red lights that balance out that blue. And in modern world, that wasn't the case because all of the LEDs had a very narrow spike of blue light at 455 nanometer, and they weren't balanced with the other frequencies of colors. So I started realizing that the blue light game was a lot more neons than I had originally thought. And I started having conversation with an optical engineer that I had met in Florida, and he agreed to help me. So I was literally in my garage wearing gloves, face mask on, and hunched over, manually tinting lenses. That he's sending me those melanin pigmentation dyes, and I'm experimenting. And after 9 months of failing over again, we got like the right formula. And for the first time, I actually had the proper tool that harmonized the blue light during the day and blocked the right amount at the right time. And that was the beginning of my journey. And frankly, at that point, I had no intention to start a business whatsoever. And I made about 30 pairs in my garage because seeing that all of my friends and family had a light problem, I'm like, okay, I could start handing them over. And I share with them 7 steps to harnessing the power of light, which includes when to go out and get sunlight. And every time, I was literally blown away by how quickly everybody began to heal and reverse their issues. See, my mom, she had been struggling with chronic insomnia for 8 years.
Wow.
And she was losing her hair, and she was getting really, really depressive. And she started sleeping 8 hours every single night. My sister, who had been working at a corporate job at a bank from 9 to 5, was literally turning into a zombie, and she had acne and chronic fatigue, and now is one of the most vibrant and energetic entrepreneurs that I know. And a lot of my friends who had digestive issues cleared up those issues without changing their diet. Also, many friends struggling with anxiety and depression, they were able to, let go of their antidepressant medication incrementally, and then become vital. So at that point, I realized, wow, like this wasn't about me anymore. It was also impacting the life of others. And after those 30 pairs, Joy, my sister, had convinced me to start a business, and I was really resistant to it at the beginning. But then saying that all of us in the world had a light problem, I felt like a deep responsibility and a purpose to leave the farm and to go on a journey of igniting this light revolution with one goal: to help millions of people to live in rhythm with nature's light and dark cycles. And that was the beginning of my inspiration.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you, and I'm grateful that you went through all of that, because these glasses really are truly remarkable. As I said to you earlier, I've tried so many others, and this is quite unique. And I love how they're just subtle, but they work. And it just seems like such a simple concept, like the whole light environment. And yet, when you go to your doctor and you're feeling the way you feel, they never say, hey, let's look at your light environment. It can, like you said, like you had people with anxiety, you had your mum who had insomnia, and just these made such a difference to, I don't know, it just blows my mind.
Yes.
I actually want to go into hormones and how the artificial light is affecting people's hormones, because I know now that many men are struggling with their testosterone levels, and women more than ever are experiencing really intense menopause symptoms, and they could just be missing. They could just be light malnourished, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, light is the language that is spoken by every living thing on Earth, from the smallest bacteria to the largest mammals. We all speak the language of light. It's the language that nature speaks to us, shaping every aspect of our biology. And throughout our evolution, imagine this: you're sitting around a bonfire with the ancestors, sharing stories, playing music. This light is warm, flickering, orange light, and it's the light that our bodies are expecting after the sunset. Now, contrast this with your living room, or the living room of most people in the modern world. They have their LED lights in the ceiling, the phone in the hand, the TV is glowing. And it's absolutely shocking. This light is 50 to 100 times brighter than a firelight. And it's 500 to 1,000 times brighter than a full moon. And here's what this light is doing to your body that most health experts today have no idea about. As you mentioned, many people would be struggling with energy, fatigue, sleep issues. You don't hear their doctors asking them about their light environment. Why is that? Because most people today have no idea. They still look at light as something superficial that makes vision possible. Whereas light in reality is one of the most powerful forces that control our biology. When sunlight enters our eyes first thing in the morning, cortisol goes up, the stress hormone. And it's a healthy pulse of cortisol that allows us to feel alert, energized, and ready for the day. Now, here's what's really damaging about cortisol, that we need cortisol first thing in the morning. However, after the sunset, when we're all sitting in our living room watching television under LED lights, the brain received the wrong signal at the wrong time. And it's literally tricked into thinking it's noon at midnight. And what this does is it increases your cortisol level at the wrong time of the day, instead of having melatonin, the sleep hormone. Now, one thing about cortisol is essentially the hormone that your body produces when you are faced with a predator in nature. It mobilizes glucose and sugar to your muscles so you can run away from the predator. And what's really absolutely fascinating is there's a German scientist, his name is Fritz Hollwich. He essentially did some fascinating studies showing how light tremendously impact our hormones in the body. And what he did is he actually took a group of people who had cataract in their eye, meaning no light could pass through their eyes into their brain. And what he saw was absolutely shocking. Their hormone levels, like their adrenaline and cortisol, were abnormally low because sunlight could not enter their brain. Now, what he did is he took those same individuals and he operated on them, the cataract. So he removed the cataract from their eyes. And surely enough, after removing the cataract, their hormones, the cortisol and adrenaline, came back to normal, just like a flower blooming after the winter. So that's when Fritz Hollwich asked himself a very interesting question. He said, okay, what happens if I bring a group of healthy individuals who are eating healthy diet and exercising and put them under fluorescent lighting? And what he saw is absolutely shocking. Their body was responding to that light as though they were being chased by a predator. There was a chronic secretion of cortisol throughout the time when they were exposed to that light. Now, think about this for a moment. Throughout our evolution, this stress response happened in the face of death. Today, it's happening in people's living room every single night. Their bodies are being blasted by abnormal amounts of adrenaline and cortisol at the wrong time of the day, when melatonin is supposed to be high and dominating. Now, here's the thing about melatonin. So, in order for melatonin to be produced in the body, we need two things. One, morning sunlight. Second, the absence of blue and green light after the sunset. And this doesn't happen in today's world because the sun sets and people are exposed to the second sun from their devices. And most people still think of melatonin as the sleep hormone that allows us to go to bed, which is true, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Because melatonin is literally the highest antioxidant in nature. And guess what it does? It activates the body's cellular cleaning crew, autophagy, apoptosis, and mitophagy. Now, here's something absolutely interesting. Did you know that every night when we sleep, 50 to 70 billion cells die through a process called apoptosis?
Wow, no.
And here's the beautiful part. For every cell that dies, a new healthier one is supposed to be born. And these keep our body vibrant and constantly renewing itself. So autophagy and apoptosis are a process that God has given us, that when we go to bed at night, the cells that are no longer serving a purpose and that are tired and worn out would be replaced with brand new cells. And this could only happen when we are getting proper sunlight throughout the day, because it turns out that UV light impact our ability to go through apoptosis and autophagy. And the second factor is getting darkness after the sunset. Without this darkness, our body's ability to repair and rejuvenate, although we get 8 hours of sleep, is really weak, and our organs and endocrine system will start to pay for the consequences of constantly being bombarded by the wrong frequency of light at the wrong time of the day.
So for people who are hearing this for the first time and they don't know where to begin, what are some daily habits you suggest to support their circadian rhythm?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So there's on my journey as I went to the farm and experimented, what I had noticed is naturally when I was on the farm, there were certain things that were occurring that connected me to my environment. Now, what's the first thing? The first thing is the farmers never use alarm clocks to wake up first thing in the morning. Their clock is pre-established that they have an internal alarm clock. They wake up, they go outside, and they get morning sunlight. So what does this mean for us, people living in cities, in places where we are essentially more synced to our working schedule and to our television than sunlight itself? What needs to happen is when we wake up first thing in the morning, no matter what time it is, we need to go outside and get at least 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight. If it's cloudy outside, we need to spend a little bit more time. And if it's overcast, probably 45 minutes. And some people may say, oh, I don't have time to spend 45 minutes first thing in the morning. But those are the same people who go and exercise in gyms under blue light for an hour or an hour and a half. So all you need to do is switch your exercise and do it outside instead of going to the gym and blasting yourself with lights that are essentially increasing inflammation and destroying your mitochondria. Now you could go outside, exercise, and get all that morning sunlight, which will reset your clock. It will literally help you secrete cortisol and adrenaline at the right time of the day so that you feel alert, energized. It will also clear the residual melatonin, which is present in your brain the moment you wake up. And this is essentially what makes you feel drowsy first thing in the morning. People reach out for coffee to take away that drowsiness, but this is not the right thing to do. You're designed to clean out that drowsiness by going outside and getting sunlight in your eyes. And when you get that sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, is going to increase, priming your appetite for breakfast. A lot of people today skip breakfast and they say, oh, I don't wake up feeling hungry. Yeah, it's because you're not getting morning sunlight, and it's because you're getting a lot of artificial light at night. Your ghrelin is going up at night, leptin is being suppressed, which is the satiety hormone, and you're starting to munch all this carbs and sugar while you're watching that Netflix movie. This is not a willpower problem. This is a light problem, essentially. So that's step number one, getting that morning sunlight. Step number two, about 90 minutes or so from the morning sunlight, taking another sun break and going outside again to get UVA light. So UVA light doesn't show up in the environment right away as the sun is rising because it's high frequency, low wavelength light that get filtered out by the atmosphere. So when the sun is about 10, 15 degrees above the horizon, UV start entering the environment. And we've been programmed to think that UV light is bad and that we need to block it using sunglasses. And this is far from truth because we literally have opsins in the eye, which are light sensitive cells that essentially are designed to absorb UV light. They're called neuropsin. And when neuropsin absorb that UV, it activates a molecule called POMC, propiomelaanocortin, which is essentially a series of amino acids that turn into so many different hormones and peptides that are absolutely necessary. Now, here's some food for thought. Light creates your reality. And very few people understand this. Albert Einstein, law of relativity, E equal mc square, is a very powerful equation because essentially it's telling us that light and matter are interchangeable. So when the sunlight radiates light out, it's taking high volume, low potential light, and it's compressing it into low volume, high potential matter. And we see this in nature via photosynthesis, where light becomes sugar, sugar becomes leaves, leaves becomes branches, and ultimately a tree. The idea of the tree is literally the seed of that is in sunlight. And when sunlight radiates out, it compresses that light into matter. Equally, matter turns back into light. And that is the law of love or the law of balance in nature. Nature never takes, it always gives for the purpose of inspiring an equal re-giving. And this equal re-giving happens when matter turns back into light. Think of a wood. When you burn it, it releases enormous amount of light and heat, which return back to the ether and to the sun. So here's what's important. We are light beings. And those bodies are but light frequencies that are being compressed into matter. Anything around us in this moment, from the earth to anything that we're seeing in the physical world, is but light that is being compressed. So this is not only philosophical, it touches us at a biological level. When light from the sun radiates out, it's captured by opsins in the eyes, it's slowed down by a vitreous EDI composed by water, collagen, and acid. And then the energy of this light is being used to manufacture neurotransmitters and hormones. Guess what? They control the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. Light becomes serotonin when we convert tryptophan into the amino acid in the eye into serotonin. Serotonin is what allows us to feel calm, stable, and happy, and grateful for what we have in this moment. So if you're somebody who's struggling to feel gratitude to what you have in this moment, for the life that you've been given, you probably have a serotonin problem. But it's not a serotonin problem, it's a light problem. Now, tyrosine turns into dopamine. And dopamine is one of the most miraculous molecules that allow us to see the bigger picture in life, to sit up and pay attention, and to have the motivation to go after our deepest desires and goals. So I see an epidemic of people today, young people who are really struggling with attention. They're being called ADD, ADHD. A lot of people also struggle with postponing and not achieving what they desire to achieve. They think that they have a motivation problem. But I don't think they have a motivation problem. I think they have a light problem. Because guess what? It turns out that light at night destroys your dopamine. Dr. Samer Hitar published a study showing that very little amount of blue and green light entering the eyes after the sunset activate an area in the brain called the habinula, which is known as the disappointment center. And people are exposed to this light from their devices and their LED light bulbs. They will tend to wake up the second day with less dopamine in their system, meaning they would feel unsatisfied and unmotivated. So UVA, around 90 minutes after the sunrise, is an absolutely essential frequency. And all you need to do is go outside and expose your eyes to about 10 to 15 minutes of UVA light at that time of the day. I mean, the list goes on and on about the benefits of UV. So, but I'm not gonna speak about it for an hour and a half. The third step, around 11 or noon, UVB stop peaking, which is essentially what people know. Most people know, oh, sunlight is essential for making vitamin D. Yes, that's true. It's UVB, and it's only around 11 till 3 p.m. that you could essentially make vitamin D from UVB. Also, UVB plays a major role in helping you to build your melanin. So we have this hormone in the brain called alpha MSH that is produced when UV enter our eyes. And alpha MSH sends a signal to our skin to produce melanin, which is what allows us to tan. It's nature's natural sunscreen. And this is one of the dangers of sunglasses, because when you put sunglasses on, you block your brain's ability to know that there is UV in the environment, and therefore you stop burning. Now, among other things, alpha MSH increases our libido as a great anti-inflammatory, and it regulates our appetite. In fact, people who are obese and who overeat, they have an alpha MSH issue. But truly, it's not an alpha MSH issue. It's a light issue. So making sure that when you get UVB around that time of the day, that you start incrementally. Don't hear this information and go blast yourself with 2-3 hours of UV light, because you're going to burn. Because you're not ready for it. You had not built your melanin enough so that you can become a solar panel, and that you could convert light into electricity properly. And what you need to do is start 1 minute at a time and build that exposure incrementally. Make sure you're getting morning sunlight and light at sunset, because during that time of the day, there's no UV. There's the polar opposite, infrared, which prime your skin to absorb more UV later in the day without burning. Step number 4, when you are inside, working in your office under LEDs and in front of screens, wear the VivaRays daytime lenses, which, as you mentioned, they are quite different than every other yellow tinted glasses on the market. Every other yellow tinted glasses on the market is designed to block 100% of the blue light at 455 nanometer. The issue there is, in the process of doing this, you're wiping out all of the blue turquoise at 480 nanometer. Now, you say, why is that important? Because melanopsin, the protein in the eye that is light sensitive, that tells our brain whether it's daytime or nighttime, needs that blue turquoise in the range of 480 nanometer to tell our brain it's daytime, so that we can maintain high energy levels, stay alert, focused, and energized. And when we go ahead and block that with yellow tinted glasses that are dark yellow tinted, then we're disconnecting our brain from the time of the day, and we start feeling tired at the wrong time. Step number 5, around the sunset, go outside again and expose your eyes directly or indirectly to that sun. Because again, what is light? It's not only illumination, it's information. And the information you get around sunset is absolutely essential to tell your nervous system to exhale. The day is ending. And this sends a signal to your cells to start preparing for the right environment so you can heal and repair at night. Step number 6, when you come back from your journey of watching the sunset, you go back home. You don't want to ruin the light signaling by being exposed to the second sun from artificial lighting. So you want to clip on the evening lenses, which are designed to mimic the color temperature of the bonfire. Because remember, this is the light that our biology is expecting after the sunset. And a very important thing to do is getting into the habit of turning off overhead lighting and potentially starting to use Himalayan salt lamps, candles, all of which are not destructive to your circadian biology. Step number 7, around 30 minutes before going to bed, you take off the evening lenses and you clip on the nighttime lenses. Now you can think of those as, if the evening lenses is the beginning of a bonfire, when you have enough energy to dance, cook, socialize with your friends, the nighttime lenses are the end of the bonfire, when the wood turns into amber coil. And by this time, you're feeling really sleepy and ready for bed. And these filter out all blue, all green, and decrease the brightness tremendously. And therefore, they optimize your melatonin, but not only your melatonin, your sleep hormone, they optimize your growth hormone, which you had mentioned many men are struggling with testosterone production due to overexposure to artificial light at night. Their growth hormone is never spiking at the time when it needs to spike, and therefore they're struggling with testosterone issues. But they don't have a testosterone issue. I think they have a light problem.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much for that. I come from a teaching background. So when you were sharing your story earlier about when you were diagnosed with ADHD, breaks my heart to think about all those children who are on medications, and it could just be a light issue. And I actually noticed a big difference in behaviour with children because I had a long break in between my teaching career. So I started 20 years ago. And back then, the technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. So we had a chalkboard back in those days, and there was no iPads, so it was all paper and pen. And then when I returned to teaching after bringing up my children, I thought I'll give it another go. I'll go back into the classroom and teach. There were interactive whiteboards. There's no more chalkboards.
Yep.
The children are on iPads. And I didn't know much about the light environment back then. So I'm talking about 4 years ago now, right?
Wow.
So, and I look back now and I reflect and I think, wow, maybe all I needed to do was just turn off those fluoro lights in the classroom, open the blinds, and just take the kids outside. And then I wouldn't have the issues, because I felt like all I was doing all day was just trying to discipline the kids and I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't teaching. All I was doing was just working with kids with behavioural problems. And there was only maybe 1 or 2 kids in the classroom that were able to focus, and the rest were just wired. And I know diet plays a role too, but now the more I'm learning, the more I'm realising is that these kids are constantly bombarded with artificial light from the moment they wake up. Then they go to the classroom and it continues in the classroom. You know, it's just a vicious cycle, and it's just, what can parents do? Do you have any suggestions?
That's such an interesting and important topic because not so many people know, but like back in 1973, Dr. John Ott, he literally walked into the first grade classrooms in Florida, and he replaced the toxic fluorescent lights with lights that he was building back then that emitted more of a full spectrum light. And something magical happened that blew my mind. Within 1 week, the hyperactive kids who couldn't sit still and focus became very calm and focused. So these precious kids did not need drugs. They needed someone to get curious about them instead of judging them, and to see them not as problem to be fixed, but as God sent messengers to humanity, teaching us about our own imbalances. And it was clear that these kids did not have an ADHD problem; they had a light problem. Now, what's absolutely fascinating, and what so many people don't realize, is the children under natural spectrum light developed 1/3 of the dental cavities of kids under fluorescent lighting. Now, that's absolutely massive. And I'd bet that if those kids also were getting proper darkness at night, that the dental cavities would have disappeared.
Wow.
So what can what can parents do? Parents must demand from the schools, one, more time outside for the kids. Because kids do not learn by sitting still and memorizing and repeating useless information. So if your school is still teaching kids about and rating a kid as intelligent just because of their ability to memorize and repeat, then this is stultifying the genius in your kids. The kids are better equipped by being outside and by observing nature and being asked to write about what they had seen. This is when the genius in every kid will start shining. So every parent should be having conversation with the schools about giving the kids more time to be outside, potentially starting their day a little bit later so they can have more time in the morning to go and have walks with their parents, get the morning sunlight. And every teacher should be challenging the school about the overuse of technology and about the need for those kids to have proper glasses that protect them from those devices while they are studying and working. And every parent should understand that their kids' circadian biology controls the development of their child's brain. And here's what's absolutely heartbreaking. In 2024, there's a study that followed children living in areas with high artificial light. They found something that shatters my heart. Kids who grew up bathed in artificial light had 3 times higher rates of attention problems, anxiety, and depression compared to other kids with low artificial light environments at night. So I think we're raising the first generation of humans whose developing brains have never, not even once, experienced the true healing power of darkness. And every parent need to teach their kids about not only getting more sunlight during the day, but also getting proper darkness at night. Because that's how their brain actually develop in darkness.
You know, I was focusing more on the whole sunrise, and I didn't actually value the whole darkness side of things, right? And we actually changed all our living area LED downlights, and I ended up buying some blue blocking, orange coloured downlights instead, so we could turn them on at night instead. But that's not good either, because don't you think?
It's better than nothing. It's
Okay.
better than the blue LED lights, but
Okay.
it's not optimal. Why
No.
is that? Because those are still LED technologies that use essentially a technology that is very different than how nature creates light. And it's using semiconductors and exciting those semiconductors to produce a wavelength that is very odd. Even though it's orange and red, it's a narrow spike of orange and red light that we've never evolved to be exposed around in nature. I ask people, okay, give me one place in nature where there's an emission of a narrow spike in red light, like those red light LED lights that are being innovated in today's world. And people refer back to, some studies showing that those wavelengths of red and infrared are really great for the mitochondria. The thing is, yes, but you are exposing people who are absolutely deprived for many, many years, and therefore any form of red or infrared is going to be beneficial for them. However, bring me as a person who spent most of their day getting proper sunlight, I'm not going to get any benefits from those devices. In fact, it's going to be more detrimental than good for me. So I would replace those downlight ceiling lights with Himalayan salt lamps. Himalayan salt lamps and candlelight is the optimal solution for nighttime lighting.
Yeah, because my children think I'm going crazy. And now because we're heading into winter, the sun is setting later, and it's like they come home from school, work, and it's like 6 o'clock, we're having dinner, and I don't want to turn any lights on, and it's dark. So, yeah, I like the idea of the Himalayan lamps. I think I'm just going to have to invest in those.
Yes. And I think slowly the kids will start enjoying it. The problem is that we are throwing those kids in an environment that are overly stimulating them. And therefore, when this dopamine is spiking in unnatural ways and it's crashing back down below baseline, those kids will start, they are wired to feel good. So they start wanting more of that. And this is why those technologies are deliberately created to be addictive in the way they're designed. And once these kids are being restored by environments that are true to nature, then they will start demanding more candlelight. They will start demanding more Himalayan salt lamp because it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel awesome. It's gonna start also triggering their nervous system to relax at night, so that they are more primed to have like conversation with their parents, story time, playing music, engaging in creative arts. And unfortunately, all of this is no longer happening in today's world.
Yeah, it's really sad. Do you have any other final thoughts you want to share? Is there anything you would like to mention before we wrap up?
It's very important to realize that, like, when you start hearing all of this for the first time, it may feel overwhelming. And it's very important to understand that getting stressed and overwhelmed is not going to be helpful, because it's going to essentially stress the system even more. So it's very important that we start taking very like incremental steps, doing something, starting with something. If there's only one thing you can start going outside and getting morning sunlight. Okay, if there's two things you can implement, get that morning sunlight and block artificial light by using glasses that block the right amount of light at the right time of the day. And then slowly your system and your dopamine system will start resetting. And as dopamine reset in your system, your ability to zoom out and think of the big picture will increase. And you're going to be able to act on things in a different way. You're going to be able to perceive things in a different way. And you're going to have the resourcefulness within yourself to do things differently in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. This is such an important conversation. And for any teachers that are listening, just turn the lights off. Turn them off. And they'll notice a big difference in the classroom just by turning the lights off. And I also want to thank you because you've extended a discount code for this next month for my people. I think it's 15% off for a month. Yeah. And it does come in a different frame as well. I love the wooden. I bought this for my son. And like I said before, your 3-in-1 design is absolutely genius, because previously I had like 2, 3. I actually want to buy more so I can have one in the car, have one in my handbag, have one. So well done. I know you had a hard journey, and it was probably, you felt like you were in hell at the time when you were going through everything you were going through for so many years, but look at you now and you're helping so many people. You're changing people's lives, literally. And so well done. Thank you for using your experience to help others. That's what it's all about. There's a quote, and I don't know if I'm going to say it correctly, but it's like we're all walking each other home, like we're all trying to find our way, and I think we can all help each other. And that's why I'm doing this, because I've been through an autoimmune disease, and at the moment I'm stable, I'm off meds, and I have a deep desire to help people and be the person I wish I had back when I was sick. And, you know, and hopefully I can help some people along the way and make it a less, I don't know, what's the word, stressful experience for them too. So thank you.
Yeah, that's so inspiring to hear that you have overcame medication for you said
an autoimmune. So I had Graves'. It was a thyroid disease. I was chronically sick.
And it's crazy how many young people, like young women that I meet, who mention the autoimmune disease and the thyroid issues. So I pray that they also find their way, and that they find somebody like you who can inspire them to come back home, as you had mentioned.
Actually, before we wrap it up totally, I know it's important to wear your blue blocking glasses at night when you're watching TV or just before you go to bed. But if you're exposed to blue light, it can also penetrate through your skin. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know it sounds over the top, but I've heard that you should be covering your skin as well at night, not just your eyes.
Especially if you're struggling with autoimmune disease. The eyes are the primary pathway via which light enters and control the circadian system. And so, for instance, the circadian system is not going to be thrown off balance through blue light exposure via the skin. However, like you had mentioned, the thyroid is getting all this blue light, and if somebody's already struggling with autoimmune disease and they have thyroid issues, then it would be absolutely necessary to block that area from receiving blue light.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to go for my morning walk, and
Yay.
it's 6:10, and I'm going to be wearing these because I live in the city and I'm about to walk on the main streets, and the artificial lights are on, and I feel like I'm getting attacked in the mornings. I wear these. I start off with the orange, and then I take them off as the day breaks and there's more light in the sky, and then eventually I take it all off. Is that correct? Am I doing it right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Roudy. It's been an honor. It was lovely to meet you, and I hope I come to Mexico one day and meet you in person.
That would be amazing. You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.